Hi everyone, thank you for joining. I'm Carrie Jacquet, VP of Marketing at Sensage, and I'm here today with Joe. 5 minutes with Joe.
I'm back.
He is back, and he's ready to talk about the Forrester report that we just ran, and with some really interesting results about the sorts of things that are happening in the world of advanced security information and event management. So, first of all, if I think about I think there were 2 or 3 big takeaways. What was your thought on the Forrester TAP report that just ran?
Well, this report gave us an opportunity to go deeper into what's happening in the area of data management surrounding security data and associated operations for security management. Remember, we had done several surveys at RSA, the RSA conference, and identified that people were getting blocked by data access and analysis obstacles when performing their security management duties. Things like getting access to reports, drilling into data more deeply, pursuing real-time alert, drivers or precipitants, things like that, as well as tracking down compliance events.
And even the Verizon report sort of showed that people had information in logs that they couldn't access.
That's right. So we thought we'd commission a study to more definitively go after what's going on in this area, and we found several things in this study that I would highlight. First off is that, by and large, companies were doing more with their SIEM than they had originally expected to do. So while they might have bought it for incident response or real-time correlation, they were finding that they were using it for historical analysis and ad hoc forensics,
reporting
investigations.
to other teams.
That's right.
Yeah.
So they definitely were stretching their SIEM beyond what was originally purchased to do. The other thing they identified was that they were relating to data management concepts in the context of security data. So yeah, they thought that what they were doing was things like data governance, business intelligence, data management, and things like that, data integration. But when asked if they had the sort of features and functions in their SIEM that were addressing these capabilities and if they were satisfied, 95% of companies said no. That they in fact wanted a lot more from their SIEM in these areas. And so just to rattle off a few, greater flexibility to analyze data in multiple ways, more sophisticated correlation or analysis across sliced processes and systems, ability to access and analyze specific data not currently captured in their SIEM tool. So that was an implication on the footprint of data that was actually being stored in the SIEM tool in question. And so what we take away from this is that the market is aware that this has become a data management exercise, and they're hungry for these features and functions, and even more so than they expected to be in the SIEM arena. But in fact, the typical SIEM tool that's out there today is not delivering on these capabilities to the extent that people are requiring.
Well, I mean, I took away one point, which was you have an interesting, flexible tool that lets you look at event data. And so you're stretching it, not just because it could do it, but because you don't have the budgets you used to have. You don't have the ability to go out and buy specialized, siloed kinds of things. And because you're recognizing that having them all in little vessels, little containers of their own, isn't going to actually help solve the problem, the bigger problem. So I think people are turning to their SIEM tools to do things out of necessity and out of angst, and then they're recognizing they're hitting some barriers with that.
I think you're right. I think the need is clearly there, and people have sunken significant investments into these sorts of technologies. And so I think our hypothesis is validated here by this data quite strongly. This was 60 organizations in North America, large enterprises was the sample that we looked at in this study. And it clearly supports the sort of hypothesis we've been looking at for some time. And as companies start to either look to replace their current SIEM or supplement their current SIEM, we believe they should look at the kind of technology that allows them to do a more complete job of managing the data, making it available for much more flexible querying and deep drill down, handling a larger historical data set, because this is what's required, as we've discussed many times, to uncover the sort of subtle and sophisticated threats.
And that's not to say throw out your old SIEM. Keep your mama's old SIEM. That's all good,
In fact, that's a trend we see as well. We didn't ask that question here in the data. We're finding more and more that organizations are taking an established real-time console that they already have in place, they're familiar with it, they're comfortable with it, but it just doesn't do the job in terms of this deeper data management requirement. And so they're supplementing that real-time console with other capabilities to do enterprise-wide log aggregation, filtering, analysis, reporting, and drill down.
Right.
That Sensage, of
Right.
course, is known for.
Right. So you worked with John Kindervag on this piece, and you were an analyst before. Who do you think's hotter, like as analysts go? I mean,
John's got a nice looking beard.
Yeah.
He's a good guy. I wouldn't sell John short.
And he's smart. He's a smart guy, and he did a great job with this. So
that's right. We'll work with him again.
So please download the Forrester report and write to John and tell him that you think he's cuter than Joe. But more importantly, just recognize that there are, lots of different flavors of SIEM usage, and that there are many organizations who are moving towards the need for growing outside of their traditional SIEM capabilities, and that's what this report really did reflect.
That's right.
All right, thank you so much. That was 5 Minutes with Joe, and we'll be back again soon with some more. Joe.
Thank you.